So I'll make a rock button, paper button, and scissors. Paper and scissors. Control S. Now I have three buttons over here. Remove this button, and on the click of each, we'll call a function called play game, and we'll pass the move which we will play. So when I click on this, my move will be when I click on this, my move will be scissors. So all good. So now let's make this function play game over here. And here I'm passing the player move as a parameter. Okay. So I can then now console player move is dollar player. Let's check if it is working. Okay, so let's console.log it. Let's come here, Control S. Let's save this, and now let's clear on rock, clear move rock, clear move paper, clear move scissors. Work. Next, then I will generate computer move. So we have a math.random method. This is a method. This will generate your random number. So if I call this method on the click, for example, on any click, if I say generate and I display this random number, it's a function. So now if I say, see, it generates me a random number, but if you observe that random number is between 0 and 1. On any click it is just returning me a random number between 0 and 1. See. So what I can use this random number is, I can put a if condition. If this random number is greater than equal to 0, okay, and this random number is less than 1 by 3, it is in the first quarter, then I will return the computer move as rock. And then else if, so at the start I am taking greater than equal to. So if it is greater than equal to 1 by 3, but here I am saying less than 1 by 3, okay, and less than 2 by 3, I will return paper, else, okay, I'll return return scissors. So now I'll comment this out. I don't need to log it every time. Once I'm sure, then I'll return. So now whatever this is returning, this is the computer move. And then I can console log that also. Now this is the computer move. Computer. Control S. Okay. So now I'm just clicking on the rock every time. So player move is rock, computer move is rock. See, computer move is changing. I'm clicking on only this rock button, no? So player move is always rock. See, note the computer move. It is changing. It is paper, scissors, paper, paper, scissors, rock. Randomly it is picking up depending on that number. So I have got the paper. This also. Okay. So if I clear this now, if I click on paper, so player move is paper, computer move is paper. This is a tie. Okay. So then I will calculate the result. So we'll take let result, and now let's try to. So I'll switch the player move. So what are the cases I'll get? I'll get first case as user has played rock. So if the user has played rock, I'll then check for the computer moves. So I'll switch computer move. And then I will check again if the user also, computer also has played rock, then I will put in the result is tie, and I'll break. The player has played rock, but the computer has played paper, then who wins? The paper wins, right? So the player has lost, but we are showing the regards to the paper. And we will always do the scoreboard with regards to the player. And if here if there is scissors, then 1. So if player has played rock and computer has played scissors, player has 1. Okay, so this was one switch case for computer. And now I'll break over here also, because this is one case closing. Then we'll take the next case. What if the player move was paper? And switch the computer move, and computer move was rock. Then player has 1. Computer move was paper. Player has lost. So it's a tie. And if computer move is scissors, then player has lost. Then again we will do the same for scissors. The computer move is rock, then player has lost. If the computer move is paper, player has 1. and scissors is the top. And once this switch case breaks, then I can display the things. Okay, result dollar is control S. So player move is rock, computer move is scissors, and result is 1. Player move is paper, computer move is rock, and again he has 1. Player move is paper, computer move is paper, tie. Okay. So now we need to maintain the scoreboard also. So we'll take 3 variables over here. Let win equals to 0. Let tie equals to 0. And let cost equals to 0. And then what we'll do is we can switch the result. And then we can have, if it is tie or if it is win, okay, we have say 1 over there, right? So we can follow the same naming convention. 1 lost tie, 1 tie lost, 1 tie lost. So if it is 1, it is using capital over there, so we can increment the 1. If it is lost, we can increment the lost. And if it is tie, we can increment the tie. Okay. And then we can scoreboard. 1 how many dollar underscore lost how many dollar lost, and tied how many tied. This will be a backtick. Let's do a control S. So paper scissors I lost, so lost 1 has incremented. Okay, for each time it is setting this to 0. Okay, so no need to. So you have to declare this outside then. Because each time it is declared inside the function, it is setting it to 0. So we'll have to set initialize this after before the function, so that it doesn't set every time the function is called. But then by setting it over here, let its scope will be over here. Okay, so let's put it as a var, so that it can have global scope inside the function also. So raw. Okay, now it is adjusted. So now all this calculation which is happening now is happening and being displayed on the console. Why not displayed on the web page? So that will be the second level. Okay. So the second level, so we can just keep on copying this and pasting it and just renaming it so that we have at each stage we can progress. So RPS1. Okay. So here we can add a comment. This is display result on the console. So here it was good. No, this was for RPS. Or other we can use this as RPS2. And this we can rename as RPS1. RPS1's job was to display result on the console. Now let's go to RPS2. We'll take it forward from there. And we'll map this to RPS2 now. Okay. Control S. So what RPS2 will do now, instead of displaying the result on the console, we will display the result on the web page. So for that, what will we need? We will be needing a new index. So if I keep on changing over here, will you all able to understand? That is the concern. So what I'll do is I'll keep on changing this also, so it becomes easier for us when we. Okay, so index 1 was for RPS1. Now for RPS2, I'll make a new index. I'll copy this and I'll paste it and I'll make a new index for it. Index 2. So now we'll have to modify index 2. So index 1 was pointing to RPS1. If you want to play that version, and if you want to play the advanced version, you go to index 2. Index 2 points to RPS2. So here, after we have got the buttons, I will give some paragraph tags. Okay, and this I will give the ID as what are we displaying first over here? First we are displaying the moves, right? So I'll call it as moves para, and then we will be displaying the result. So results para, and then we'll be displaying the scoreboard. So now I have these three paragraphs and I have their ID over here. So now I will read them in our application. So pointing to RPS2, RPS2 will come over here. So what it will do is it will fetch. Okay, I'm doing it outside the function over here. Generate computer move is very simple sort of function, Aditya. What it is doing is it's taking a random number. Okay, when I display the random number, it shows me any random number between 0 to 1. Okay, any random number between 0 to 1. So I split into three halves. If it is in the first quarter, that number is, the computer will generate a move and it will be called as rock. If it is in the second, okay, second 2/3, then the computer move will be paper, and if it is in the last 2/3, then it will be scissors. So if the number is 0.475, now this is falling into which category? This category. So the player move will be paper. Getting it? So now what we'll do is we'll read these paragraphs over here. So You can do by using query selector or by document get element by ID, whatever you all feel convenient. But if you are comfortable with query selector, I would recommend you all go with that. Okay, so const moves para element equals to document dot query selector, and I am moving. So I'm selecting by the ID. So hash which what was the ID name? Moves para. And so now I have got access to that paragraph over here. Correct. So I'll just use them as a var only because I want to set them inside. So I'll use this var, and like this I will fetch all of them. Moves para element, then result para element, and then score para element. And their names results. Okay, we just keep it simple. Result, keep it result para. And here score para. Okay, so by using query selector, you can select anything. It just give you a single element, then query selector, or else query selector all. And I have these elements over here. So now these three. First I was displaying the result. Okay. So now instead of displaying the result on the console, whatever this was coming, I'll display it where now? On the moves para. Oh yeah, this one. So I'll say moves para dot inner HTML equals to copy it from here, paste it over here. Player move is this, and computer move is this. Single tick yes. So now we can remove it. This is not required. Okay, so now player move, computer move, computer move. Okay. Then second was the result. So result also I can remove it now and take that over there. Result para element dot inner HTML equals to, and I can set this value. So now remove that, and now the score. So score para element, I can come here and I can take this and put all this in. Dot inner HTML equals to all that. So now if I do a control S, and if I do a control S over here as well, and if I launch this, go live. Okay, now let's say, okay, now it is showing over here. Rock, player move rock, computer move paper, result is lost, and lost has incremented to 1. It's working perfectly fine. We are able to display it. Okay, this was all good. So let me share this much code with you all. So now we were when we were calculating the score, if you observe, we were doing it in a different way, that we was needing three variables for that. Okay, so why not make a object called score and store it over there? So we are requiring three variables over here, right? Where one this. So what I can do is I can directly make a let score equals to, okay, we can make the key 1 colon 0 tie 0 and lost 0. Okay, and now going forward, instead of, now we can use this score over here. So 1 means score dot 1, lost means score dot lost, and tie means score dot tie. And then here we can display score dot 1, score dot last, and score dot tie. So let's see if this works. Control S. Yeah, it's working. So we've shifted that logic from individual variable to a, by maintaining it into a object. Okay, so if you wanted to, okay, then what we can do is we can also, okay, we can then take a copy of this now, so that we are moving ahead now. So we'll copy this and then we'll make version 3, so that we can go step by step. RPS 3, and for RPS 3 we'll make an index 3, so they can point to the respective. Okay, so index 3 is now pointing to RPS 3. So now in this RPS 2, what we had, display result on the web page, and in the score is an object. This part we had progressed. Now in RPS 3, let's see. So if I go to HTML3, we are pointing to RPS 3. Okay, so we'll have to now stop this HTML2 and rerun the HTML3. Okay, so now we are at HTML3 and it is over here RPS3. Now what we need to do over here is, let's we'll have a reset button over here. Okay, so when I want to reset the score, I can reset the score. So on click we can say reset score, and we can call that function directly. Let's write this function over here then. Function reset score, and what that will do, that will set the score back to this. One second, from another door. So now let's try to take it forward over there. So what are we doing? We are resetting the score. So we already have the score object on top. So this score object is keep on incrementing. So whenever we will click the reset score, it will reset back to 0. Okay. Let's save that and check if it is. So let's save this also. Okay. So we'll say reset score. Okay, so if I, what happened? Save all I have done. So that's what. Fail to respond to rock number 3. Not found. Index 3. Index 3. rpst.js. This is there. And I cannot save this. What happened? Play game is not defined. Okay, I did not name it properly. There is no decimal. I forgot to give the decimal over here. Okay. So now we are incrementing the score and reset the score, and again starts with 0. Okay, as I reset the score, it is not showing me the 000. So what we can do is we can write this code into a display function. Okay, we'll just display. We'll do a display scoreboard. In that we can write all this. Okay, so wherever you want to display the scoreboard, we can call this function. Okay, so we have this function. Yeah. So working on this POC, so we have done the PSR testing on 2XL and as well as small warehousing, and the data is being pumped from the blob onto the Snowflake table. So we are good till there. So today we'll start with the next part of this POC. How to take the data from the blob and put it into the Postgres database using Java code. Right, Piyush? Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, got it. So Dishan, have you closed that Jira yesterday? No. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So what we can do is we can call the display scoreboard function. Okay, so now let's see if it is working fine. Okay, now when I reset the score, it is not showing me 0. Okay, so what I can do is I can call this after resetting to 0. Also I can call the scoreboard now. So as I said the okay, so I guess this should help us immensely with the logic. So if I do a scoreboard, it sets to 0. This makes sense? Okay, and now the issue is, there's one more small issue over here. If I try to do a refresh of the browser, the scores are lost. So I need to store these scores into the web browser cache. Okay, that is called as local storage. Okay, that is called as what? Local storage. So as soon as I calculate this result score, what I plan to do is, okay, I plan to store this scoreboard into the local storage. So for that, did I show you all the local storage? So did I show you all what is local storage? Okay, let me search for a document which will help us understand what is local storage. Okay, so maybe that is a very good thing to understand. Okay, so I can take it directly from here. Okay, so I have a documentation over here. Okay, so once you will calculate the score, we can put it into the local storage. That is like a cookie. You know how we have cookie in Java? It stores on the local browser the data. So we can store local storage as set item, and by key value pairs you have to give the data. The key also has to be a string, and the value also has to be a string. But now our value is in the form of object. So to convert that object into a string, we have json.stringify. So once we have calculated the score, we can do like this: local storage dot set score. Okay. Okay. So local storage dot set item. Now I'm setting that my score. So all this, and I'll convert this score into a string and save it. So now my entire score is being set into the local storage. Okay, and whenever I will fetch that data, okay, so when I will initialize this score, I will fetch it from the local storage. So when the browser refresh, it is not set to 00, it will be fetched from whatever data is there in the local storage. Okay, so how we have set item, similarly we have get item. Okay, so what we can do over here is let the score, okay, so we had done short circuiting now. We had done a short circuiting. So what I am trying to do is, so I will try to fetch the score from the local storage. If there is no local storage, so when the result is running for the first time, when you run for the first time, there is no uh, key by the name my score in the local storage. So that time it will initialize it with 000. Okay, because what does OR do? Searches for the first true value. So this turned to false. So the values got initialized from here. Now when I have calculated the score and I have saved it to the local storage, next time when I will refresh, I will get the score from the local storage, and I will initialize that score from there. So it will not be 0 every time. And when we reset, we'll have to remove this from the local storage, so that again it becomes 00. So when we reset, okay, so when we will reset, directly what we can do is dot remove item and score. My score. Which one? Okay, so on the local style I will remove this. So by doing this much work around, you should be good to go and see if it succeeds. Okay, okay, so let's save over here also. Let's save over here also, and let's now. Okay, this all is good. Now we have 1 2 4. I refresh this, and 1 2 4 now. Okay, it's not. Okay, why is it showing undefined? So let me check over here. So local storage set item my score, and this not stringify score. Yeah, this is what we are doing. Whatever score is being calculated, so if there is nothing is there in the get item, it will go over here and will initialize all with 0 0 0, and then we have calculated it. Okay, when you have calculated the score, I'm setting that score by converting into a string, because the key value has to be a string value. This also is a string, this also is a string, and then we are calling the display scoreboard. Yeah. No, this. Okay, so this is the same which we are doing over here. Local storage or set item, stringify score, and here also we are fetching in the same way, right? Score equals to either JSON dot. Okay, you have to parse it. We have to use JSON dot parse. JSON dot parse. So when you are getting it from there, we'll have to use JSON dot parse. Okay, maybe that was the problem. Let's come again. What happened? Local sort get item score. Yeah. It's not fetching the data from the local storage. JSON.parse local store get item my score. If not, then we will put it as 1 times 0, right? Yeah. If not, then we will put it zeros. And then we're calculating the scores and then setting it back as my score and converting the stringify. Yeah. The flow is all good, and then we are displaying it over here. Score dot let's say reset score. After reset score, I've set it to 0. Now 4 2 and 0 is there. I refresh. See, it's still continuing. Okay. See, now if I do a browser refresh, it still doesn't lose my scores. It's still working. Okay. Now do a browser refresh, and again it's working perfectly fine. Okay. So here we have implemented the local storage also. Okay. Implemented local storage. So this we have finished local storage over here. Now let's try to go next level. Okay, you all got the flow, right? Whenever I get the score, I set it in my local storage with this key, and it has to be a string value. So to convert an object into a string, we have JSON.stringify, and then convert it back to an object, we have JSON.parse. Okay, so this will give you a string. No, this will give you a string. So convert the string back into an object, we have to use JSON.parse. So it will convert that object back to this core, and first timer if is using, then there is no values, so this will become false because there will be no my score. This will return you a false, so this will be the first true value. Okay, and when I do the reset, when I do a reset, that time also I am removing that from the local storage. Okay, so remove it, and scores again reset to 0. Making sense, guys? Okay, now what we can do is, now we can work on the UI part of it now, as it is. Okay, so now we can work on the UI aspect of it. So we will have to work. Okay, now if you all want, instead of calling these methods over here, we can call write the event over here inside our JavaScript. So what we can do is, we can give an ID to this button. This will be rock button, paper button, and scissor button, and this will be reset button. And now I will not call it from here. Okay, so on click, I will not call it from here. So what we can do now, I'm not giving any. So HTML I'm just keeping for the structure of the document. We'll come here now. So should I have named this as index 4? Yes, I should have, right? Yes. So we'll do that work over there, so that. Okay, so yeah, this is all good for index 3. We can copy this and paste it. Rename it to index 4, and index 4 will tie up with RPS 4. So index 4, what we are trying to do, we will give each button a ID. So that is, this is a rock button, paper button, scissors button, and reset. Okay, so now I will not do that. I will not use this way of invoking the click. We have on click handler, right? This event handlers. So we can use that now. So let's try to do. So have got access of these buttons. This is 3 only. This needs to be renamed to 4. So let's come here now. So as we have got access to these paragraphs, similar way we can get access to these buttons also. There are 4 of them. So let's get where rock button element. Yakub set which ID? Rock button. Okay, those who have photographic memory can let me know whether this is the name ID we had given. Yeah, rock button. Then paper button and scissors button and reset button. Rock button and the paper button. Scissors button and reset. Okay. So now what we can do? Rock paper button element dot add event listener. Which event listener I want? Click. And on the call of click, I want to call which function? Play game, but I want to pass a parameter also. So how did you do that? Whenever you want to call a function with parameters, you have to call it within arrow function. So call it using rock over here. Okay, so rock button, when add event listener click, on the click of that, I'll call the play game using rock. Okay, the paper button element, I'll call this function, but I'll pass what to it? Paper. The scissors button element, I'll call the function passing scissors. And on the reset button element, I'll call the listener. On the click, I will call which function? Resets. So this, there is no parameters. So this you can directly call it. If there is no parameters, you can directly call it. Okay. This I have done it using 2 lines. Okay. If you are more proficient and if you want to improve the speed, directly you can say over here also. Dot add event listener, and this code you can do over there also. Okay. So it's all up to how well and how fast you want to go. So it's up to the individual to individual. Okay, so if you feel this is faster, that get access of that button and to that add it, so go by that way. So I'll leave it for person to person, whatever he or she likes. So let's try to play around with rock paper scissors 4, and let's see if we are able to access it. This was 3, right? So let's try to see if 4 is working as well. Okay, opens up as well. I have not done the changes. Should I do a file, save all? Okay, I have done a save all. not targeting button ID. Okay, we were targeting RPS 3. Sorry, okay. So small this troubleshooting can be done. And now it's fetching everything from the C. Even if I open a new one, it is fetching it from the local storage. I'll reset it, and now things are working as fine. Okay, I'm using RPS code. Okay, so these things also you all can do. Segregate the entire JavaScript part into the JS part, and just keep the HTML part. Okay. Now instead of this rock icon, I want to show the rock image. Okay. So how do I do that? Development this also as a separate part. Okay. Implemented. Okay. Event handler on the play button. So now this is over here. Now let's come and let's try to do some UI part now. Okay. We'll try to change the UI of the buttons. HTML5 should point to RPS5. Okay, so here now instead of writing these buttons icons, we'll take image and we'll give image of the button as we had discussed that. Okay, so let me search for the images and put it over here. I have a set of images. Let me load them from my okay. So now I have added the images over here. Okay, so I made a new version 5, and instead of the hard coded button captions, so the caption I've added the images over here. And now I've added a class to all these images, move images. Let's style this. So it's a class, move images. Okay, so if I say height as 100 pixels, okay, this is okay. So height 100 pixel is okay. It's making sense. Control S. And now if I click on it, see. Okay, if I take the mouse on it, it should turn into a cursor pointer. Okay, so now this makes into a cursor pointer. Okay, so these paragraphs also I can give a class, so I can set some common settings to it. Okay. Display class. Okay. So let's style this display class. Okay. So let's say font size 30 px. Control S. Okay, font has become bigger, and font width I want it, let's say 500. Control S. Okay, we have to give it what here. 500, I guess it was normal only. Now we can use that bolder one. Bolder. Control S. Form becomes a bit bolder. Okay, so we can play around with that also. And over here also on the images. So let's see if okay, you all can try to play around with, guys, and see what you all can do. Okay. Then we had an autoplay button. Yeah, that was interesting. Okay, so this we have done in the styles. There is nothing over here with RPS 5. This was the same. Now if I want to add a reset button or autoplay button rather. Okay, so I'll make a button over here. This should be interesting. Autoplay. Okay. And give it an ID. Autoplay button. Okay. Let's try to read this autoplay button over here. So we know now how to read the buttons. Autoplay button. Right? Just make sure it is the correct spelling. So now on the click of this autoplay button, I want to call a function autoplay mode. Add event listener. When I click on it, I want to call a function autoplay mode. Okay, so as I said, we need to call as a callback function. So don't put parameters over here. And now let's write this function autoplay mode. Now what we will do is, now in this autoplay mode function, the computer, the player move will be the from the computer. Okay. So here how I'm calling generate computer move as storing it into computer move. Here I will call generate computer move and store it into player move, because the computer will give the player the move. Okay, and then we will call the function play game, and the player move will be this move which the computer has generated. Okay, but this should keep on happening after every, let's say, 2 seconds. So remember, set interval, set timeout. So we'll call the function set interval. If you want to repeatedly do it, okay, so what task you want to do? You want to do this task, but now it is having parameters. So when we have parameters, what we do? We do like this. So you call the function player move, and then after how much time you want? After two, let's say I give 2000 over here. So after every 2 seconds, it will call the play game function, and the computer will generate the player move. Okay, so randomly whatever it generates will come. So let's see if this works, but this will go in infinite loop. Okay, so we have to look for a way to stop this, else this will go in infinite loop. So see, if I start playing this and everything is working fine, reset is working fine, everything is working fine. Now I'm tired of playing myself. I say autoplay mode active. So I have to autoplay mode active. What happened? Okay, it's working on RPS 4. You should point to RPS 5. Yeah, now all good. Now I say autoplay mode active. So let's say after every 2 seconds, does it see? It's generating the move for me, and it's playing on my behalf after every 2 seconds. Okay, but now when I click on this autoplay mode, it should stop also. Now, but it will not stop. So we haven't given that logic for it to stop. So for it to stop, we'll have to do some workaround. Okay. So this set interval, no, it gives you an ID. Okay. So this always gives you an ID. So before this starts, we can take a variable where interval ID. Okay. And we can also take a where for uh, autoplay status. Okay, so autoplay status I will set, as of now it is set to false, right? Because this is not, it is not in autoplay mode by default. So then here we can check over here if the autoplay status is equal to false, then you do this. Okay, and this will also give you a interval ID. So the ID which I was just declared over here, now I will initialize. So every set interval gives you a unique interval ID. And now once I have done this, means the play mode status has become active. So now I can say it has become true. Next time when I click on it, the autoplay status will be true, so it will not go in this. So we'll go in else. Okay, and we can, now we have this. Okay, some function is there. I'm not, to stop the ID we have some function is there, interval, interval, clear interval, I guess. Clear interval. Which ID to clear interval? Clear this ID. So this will stop now. And now again my status I will become false because it has stopped. So maybe this logic should work perfect. So I start playing myself. See, it has gone autoplay mode. So I refresh it now. I play by myself. I get bored. I played on the autoplay mode. Now the computer is playing for me. Okay. I want to stop the autoplay. I click on the autoplay again, and now it stops it. How was that? Okay. So you can also add the color also if you want, like to this button, as we had done initially. So as we have got access of this autoplay, we can now do anything with it, right? So initially, so what for stop you want it red, right? So now it is not in autoplay mode, so we can give it style autoplay element dot style dot, what happened, we had that yesterday, style dot bgc, what happened, we just did that yesterday, correct? How to add the, okay, maybe it was on day 14, this one, right? Once I get, I can add anything. So we did that, right, to the element. So here style dot background color, I want it right now as red because it's not, okay, it's not, its autoplay is false. Once it starts to autoplay, I want to set it to green. So here, so you can set it, once it is in true mode, set it to green. will indicate that the button is on, and when you stop it again we'll set it to back to red. Let's try to play around with this. Let's see how it is it logic working, and it is okay. And if I click on it again, it stops and the counter stops. Okay, so UI, there's always room for improvement, person to person. You all can always improvise on it and take it to the next level. There's no limit how attractive you can make the UI. But my intention was to show you the entire range of how JavaScript can help us improve the functionality of a website, and how all the things which we learned we can collaborate into a mini project, because that's the best way of learning is start making a project on that technology. The ideal way and the fastest and the best way of learning any technology is that you make some product using that technology. So this is the sort of product we have made. Okay, functionality wise we have covered everything. Now UI part is up to you. Okay, the more sugar you add, the more sweeter it will become. So I leave that to you guys to add the functionality, and tomorrow first thing I'll check as to who has made it attractive. Let me push it. Is that making sense to you all guys? Is this mode of training assisting you all, benefiting you all, or is it that sir we are clueless as to what is happening in the sessions? It's like you're training yourself. Yes, no, maybe guys. I pushed the entire code on the GitHub also for your assistance. I'm waiting for your feedback as to whether you all are all actually benefiting from this sort of training.